Back again, same night. All right, so look, one more video about this Great Depression AI boom correlation, right? So I looked it up, right? In 1920, three companies that still remain today are Harley Davidson, Ford Motors, and Chrysler, right? So the whole thing with Ford was he created the new um, engine, combustion engine. There we go. He created the combustion engine, basically sending the Roaring Twenties into a more opportunistic time due to the fact that you were able to commute to places faster and further, right? My thought was reason why Chrysler was able to stand this long was they were considered the luxury brand. As America started to get into more luxury items, Chrysler was able to maintain their luxury status. Lastly, Harley Davidson, as the Americans as the American population grew more financially secured, they began to afford themselves more luxuries, i.e., Harley Davidson. As men and for Ford, as far as the combustion engine, during that time it was the real industrial revolution. Basically, if you go back and look at all of the 80s movies, all of the movies in the 70s, everybody's had pickup trucks and working utility vehicles in order to basically help the economy run as that was the kind of like the promotion and like the thing to buy of the American time. So, with that being said, in the 1920s, it was cars and engines for number one. Number two was the washer and dryer, basically GE, which is still here today. Number three was steel, U.S. Steel, which basically built all those industrial complexes and all of the high-rise buildings that we have now. Number four was processed foods, which is Coca-Cola. Number five was appliance stores like Sears. So, transition now, 100 years later, in 2025. What are those same companies in this AI boom, right? Number one would be chip makers. Number two would be data centers. Number three would be AI products. Number four would be communication. And then lastly, food, right? So if I was to ask some questions around that in order to pick a company that were as useful as useful now as they will be 10 to 100 years in the future, you got to ask yourself a couple questions, right? Who is this new America being built for that we're in currently till today, right? The America that we were in last year, the America that we were in 100 years ago was being built for us to move a lot faster as we do now. So now, as we see time is accelerating, that's what we can put our mind to. We went from walking to horses to bikes to cars to planes, now spaceships to teleporting, right? So the next four questions I have, right? How will you feed the people in the next 100 years? That's a big one, right? How will you feed these people? That's why Michael Burry is so if you watch The Big Short, at the end of the movie he said one of his biggest investments that he was going into is water. If you look at the water crisis in California right now, the reason that they had a water crisis is two reasons. They couldn't get the licensing from an agriculture place. In addition, from where they were trying to get the water from, a couple owned the water rights to that. So how do you invest in water? These are publicly traded companies that are on the stock market that own water on reserves and lands and underground reservations in California, Arizona, and all across the United States, even in Florida. Kind of like if you look at that movie Book of Eli, right? When the world was destroyed, what was the main thing that people were surrounding themselves around? They were going to the water hose. What was the guy's name? I forgot the second main character. Not Denzel, the white guy that he was doing. He was basically trying to get the Bible, and his main source of keeping the people under control was having access to the water. So that's number one. How will you house these people, right? That's number two. These smart cities that they trying to build, right? Toyota is building a smart city in Japan right below Mount Fuji. Currently, right now, today, they're building a smart city that can house up to, I think, don't quote me on this. I don't even want to say it because I'm probably gonna be wrong. I think I just seen a number. It probably cost like 10 billion or something. Same thing that they're trying to do in California. Gavin Newsom already said that they're trying to, with his hand gestures and movements, weirdo. He's there trying to do the same thing in Malibu and Palisades, build a smart city. So if you look like the main thing that I like to do when I say these smart cities is if you look at like the Avengers movies, right? And you know when they went to nowhere and they had all of like the steel and the high ass like you basically look like it was the end times basically. That is what I basically see for the future of like the next 100 years. That's how we gonna be living pretty much. And they gonna call those smart cities, kind of like what they're building in Saudi Arabia right now. That long ass strip of fuckery. Yeah. Number three, how will you stimulate these people, right? So, how we're able to be stimulated now is through the advancements of technology. They're basically giving us more technology to adventure and play with, and as we adventure and play with these new technologies, we start developing like AI apps or social media apps or like way back in the Roman times, they used to do the Colosseum. Now we still have sporting events and stuff like that. But as we drift away from that and people start being a lot more consumed with technology, what will be the entertaining force to keep these people docile and basically under suppression in order to accept the new technology that they're being presented with? Lastly, how will you get these people to travel from city to city, place to place, country to country at their will, right? So as we can see now with all of these different plane crashes and stuff like that, even 50, maybe like 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, China was developing the new bullet train, right? So now they're trying to build bullet trains from London to goddamn, I think they said New York, underwater or some shit like that. I swear to God, I seen an article. So also in China, they have a company that is building autopilot self-flying cars. I swear to God, I'm not lying. The company name is EHang. Go look it up. EHANG. Go look it up. It's on the stock exchange right now. They doing it already. The technology is already here. Lastly, as they create more satellite communication, that is how the network of cars is going to be ran. So if you look at a company like Waymo, right, that are in like Arizona, San Francisco, Los Angeles, places like that that have these self-driving cars where there's no driver, there's no passenger until they pick somebody up. They're basically testing the technology in smaller locations in order to implement it into larger communities as the time goes on. Another company that specializes in self-anonymous cars is Aurora, AUR. It's on the stock market right now as well. They're partnered with Nvidia, and they also bought the technology from Uber. Google is partnered with Waymo, and Nvidia is partnered with Aurora. So, with all that being said, what are some of the top companies that we can invest in over the next 10 years to get this entire, in order to get rich? Just fuck it. In order to get rich over these next 10 years. Number one is definitely the chip makers, you feel me? NVIDIA, AI, Taiwan Semiconductors, because they're going to be powering everything that the new technology is being ran off of. Number two is Palantir and Google, because they're the data collectors, you feel me? As everybody, like prime example, in China, right, when they say that people are starting to wear masks on the street because they have a social score. If you jaywalk, if you litter, if you talk too loud on your phone in public, shit like that, that is going to be Palantir, Google. So as the AI cameras start going up, at replacing the CCTV cameras, we're going to start seeing more social credit scores being implemented as opposed to consumer credit scores being implemented, being the fact that we can't trust American people with consumer debt anymore because they don't know how to be responsible and not buy luxury goods and live below their means. So now we have to give them a social credit score in order to see how they socially interact, due to the fact that now day and age, like 100 years ago, people were actually building America. Now we're just sustaining America, or people were actually building an economy. Now we're just sustaining an economy. So we don't necessarily have skills to take us to the next level. We basically had to just build off of the already implemented technology that we have at our disposal. How to entertain these people is basically going to be the metaverse. So Facebook, I really thought he was going to go bankrupt because I knew he wasn't for the people, and I thought that everybody was going to be able to see, and his wealth was going to be dispersed throughout the people, as one of the top elite people to basically lose it all. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think he's going to basically be a big player in the next coming years, especially if he does anything related towards getting TikTok or working with Donald Trump closely over these next 4 years. Number 4 is Apple, GSAT, T-Mobile, and Starlink for the communication. You feel me? So, as T-Mobile has Metro PCS, they bought Sprint, and their T-Mobile. They have the highest. Anytime you go to T-Mobile, the only thing that you get for free is the service. That's it. I swear to God, they give you the service for free. Everything else, you buy a phone, you buy a computer, you buy some headphones, a speaker, you are going to pay 50% down, 20 to 50% down. They don't give a damn about selling a product. All they want to do is sell you the service. That's all they're interested in doing. Everybody else, like Apple, Verizon and AT&T, Boost Mobile, shit like that, they don't really matter. They're trying to sell you the service, also a product. T-Mobile don't give a damn about nobody. They're the best company to invest in when it comes to telecommunications because they don't give a damn about you. They've been telling you they don't give a damn about you since 2010 when the sidekicks were popular. They made their own phone and they sold the service, and they made the most popular phone for 5 years straight. That created a network for them to buy Sprint 15 years later. Sprint, if you knew about Sprint, they did the same. They had the same model as T-Mobile. They never let you. They would let you get a shitload of lines, but they will make you pay so much money for them. So you can go to Sprint 5 years ago, 6 years ago, right before they got bought by T-Mobile. Sign up for a family plan. Bring your phones over from Verizon, T-Mobile, whatever the case may be, but you would pay $900 to switch over if you got brand new phones. So at the end of the day, yeah, and they had shitty service. Sprint basically came up because they did the same. They were a competitor to T-Mobile back in the day when T-Mobile dropped the Sidekick, Sprint dropped Nextel, basically the church service. So they were the two competitors. So once the Nextel era died out, and Sprint basically was the last company to start selling iPhones, they lost the race. They lost the race. They lost it. After that, they got bought by T-Mobile, and T-Mobile in the last 5 years has tripled their stock. In addition to tripling their stock, they partnered up with Elon Musk and Starlink, which basically gives free internet access and free telecommunication services to anybody under the United States umbrella. So how the hell are they not the most prime telecommunications company that's on the market? Only other company that you have is Verizon, AT&T, Charter, which are all bullshit because they only serve a specific demographic. Verizon serves the older populations like the baby boomers and stuff like that. Once they're gone in 5 years, 10 years, Verizon's gone. AT&T, the reason why they were able to become on the map because they were the first company to have a contract to sell the iPhone. Once all the other companies, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile, were able to start selling the iPhones, AT&T didn't matter because you could get an iPhone from anywhere at that point. Now that everybody has iPhones, it's this new company called GSAT that basically is all about satellite communication. Basically, you don't even need a cell phone service to have communication, or to be able to call and text these different people that you want to talk to and have communication. So, and lastly, Apple paid GStat $1.5 billion, half of their actual market cap, in order for them to join their service and have 80% of their network exclusively presented for Apple only. Lastly, not to mention, to make the pot even a little sweeter, Apple just did a deal with Starlink, which is connected to T-Mobile, basically giving GStat the full access to Starlink's, Elon Musk, SpaceX, new technology that T-Mobile was using, powering the globe now with free telecommunication subscriptions through Apple, not AT&T, not T-Mobile, or any of these foreign companies that are overseas that I don't know about. So now when you buy an iPhone, you can have a service wherever. It doesn't matter if you go from the US to China, you don't have to switch your plan. You got an iPhone that's protected by GSAT, T-Mobile, Starlink, and it's all in one communication device, which is the iPhone, which you already have in your hand right now. Lastly is water. I've been doing my research on a couple water companies. The ones that I'm seeing right now are the California water wells and the one in Florida. There also are some ETFs that specialize in owning the rights to the water that is on the land, right? You don't want to own a company that specializes in water like Arrowhead or some shit like that. Bullshit. You want a company that owns basically it's like owning the mineral rights to the land. So it's like REIT companies that basically own land that has water on it, or wells underground or some shit like that. So that's pretty much the last point I had to make. And with that, we're gonna upload this, man. See me in the next one. Drop a comment what you think below. Like, subscribe. See you in the next one.